Hi, I'm the Posture Doc. I'm Dr. Paul Bacon of Advanced Spine Health and Wellness in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. I've been specializing in spinal biomechanics for nearly 40 years. I've been in practice for about 35 years here in New Hampshire. Today I'd like to speak to you about winter effects on posture. Number one, I think probably we need to establish first why posture is so important. Posture essentially determines the amount of load on all the muscles, the ligaments, and the joints of the human body. Posture has an extraordinary effect on breathing and oxygen consumption. And the effects of changes in oxygen consumption are very, very important. Oxygen consumption is very important because oxygen is utilized in essentially every single chemical reaction in your body. Most everything is an oxidative process. Also, the oxygen consumption of the body is directly related to the amount of work on the heart. This you'll see over and over and over again as you observe the aging process in the human experience, that cardiac function is extraordinarily impeded by difficulties in breathing. Most people do not understand that the chest cavity and the excursions, if you will, breathing in and breathing out, the excursions of the rib cage, or your capacity to intake oxygen and utilize oxygen, is affected by posture very, very directly. And so altered posture equals altered and diminished breathing capacity almost every single time, and this increases the load of the work on the heart. The less oxygen consumption intake into the body, the more the heart has to pump in order to get all this oxygen to all the different cells and tissues in the body. The next thing that is so important about posture is that it alters spinal position and function in relationship to gravity. And the alteration of spinal form and function creates obviously negative effects on the amount of load on joints, and increase in calcium deposition and decrease in uptake and intake and outtake of water in the joints is extraordinarily important, and major effect on the degenerative process of the human spine. Absence of motion, absence of pump, fibrosis, calcification, those are the stages of spinal deterioration. And the most important thing is alterations of posture clearly affect the functioning of the nervous system. Changes in the position and function of the spinal system is a fundamental premise in chiropractic for over 100 years now, and essentially the proof is in the pudding. Bad spine, bad nervous system, bad neurological information going to and from the organs of the body to the brain, the control mechanism of the human experience. And so one of the things that we folks up here in New England constantly complain about during the wintertime is the cold and the snow and all the shoveling, etc. Especially this season, where essentially everybody is pulling snow off the roofs and trying to find a place to put all the snow that we got this year. And how does it relate to posture? Well, needless to say, everybody is shoveling snow, and most of the time what we'll see is that we find it very, very comfortable to go in one direction, and we infrequently, or not nearly enough, but not balanced enough, use the other direction when we are shoveling. Even with snow blowers, it's like fighting an alligator. This is a lot of work. And the controls of the handles, needless to say, are very, very difficult to keep balanced, so it's going to affect us derogatorily. And the most important thing that I recognized the other day about my own posture, that I have to be representative of ideal posture because I'm the posture doc, is that when I was in the bitter cold, I found myself slumping over and bundled up like this, and with a scarf and a hat and the mittens and the big jacket, frustrated with all the difficulty in moving around with all this garb. And I said, my gosh, I says, I can feel all the discomfort in my upper shoulder area, upper middle back region. My neck is all tense and tight from trying to maintain my body heat. and so that we in New England talk about heading south every single year. And I think what we see, rather than us moving to the southerly states, is what we see is heading south in our posture. And so then if we take a look at the old New Englanders, they all had that humped over posture commonly, and I don't want to see that in all of us. So what we want to do is to learn about some limbering exercises and take this stress of the day out. And one of the very simple tools that I teach in my office all the time about posture is very simple. We want to put your fingers underneath the lower ribs here, and without tightening up the gluteal muscles and without tightening up the shoulder muscles, simply lift the lower rib cage upward and forward like this, and you'll see what the effects are instantaneously, not only visually, but you'll feel it as well, that your head starts to immediately become exactly centered over the pelvis. And so if you can walk around like this, move around like this with maintaining that slight upward lift of the lower rib cage, and also with continuous breathing with as least effort as possible. If you become accustomed to this, especially when you're walking with long strides, you can train this in a few months so that this becomes essentially your reference point and normal posture, and you'll find that it's really not that difficult, and you'll find it extraordinarily effective in increasing your oxygen function, the strain on your lower back, your muscles in your shoulders will feel much better, your neck will feel much better. It's profoundly effective. The other thing that you can do, if you'd like, we recommend strongly a series of limbering exercises to lubricate the joints and help balance the spine. And if you email us at docbacon @gmail.com, excuse me for the pause, docbacon1, numeral 1, @gmail.com. We'll send you a set of limbering exercises that are of profound value, and some little information about a wobble seat that we use in our office that can have dramatic effects in spine and posture and taking the stress of all this winter posture out of your body. Alrighty, thank you so much for listening, and have a wonderful day. Hope spring comes soon.